Welcome to an episode of Nerds Amalgamated. I'm the DJ, and with me today I have the Professor.
Hello.
How's it going?
I'm good. Nothing to complain about.
Not really? Nothing to complain about? I mean, we do have a lot to complain about. I mean, so much stuff has happened in the last few days. I mean, like Apple going crazy.
Yeah.
And not to mention Apple, but Google as well when they kicked out Epic.
Okay, but I'm not complaining. I've just got the popcorn.
Ah, nice. What else is there? Russia doing the whole, we've got a vaccine!
Again, popcorn. I hope it works, but I'm completely prepared for it to be a flop and for lots of people to get very sick or die.
Can you imagine if this vaccine that has unintended side effects like turns into some sort of a body horror movie?
Yeah, I really hope it doesn't. Please, people, stop using your citizens as political pieces.
Fat chance that will ever happen. They will ever listen.
No.
So you had a good week?
I did. Had an excellent long weekend.
What did you get up to?
Gaming mostly.
Oh, nice. Sounds like you had a fun week. Speaking of fun, so Professor, you've got a story about Apple going against Microsoft and Stadia.
And saying no more fun. Yes. Apple all through the news right now because recently Facebook gaming finally released without games. So the main issue here is that Apple was really cracking down on the idea of being able to load new games onto the Facebook gaming market only for because Apple are absolutely locked down. They don't want anyone doing anything they don't want them to do. So in this case, letting Facebook load games that haven't been vetted by the App Store review committee just wasn't going to fly. So Facebook's released the app without the games. You can still use it to watch streams and stuff. But this isn't the only thing that's going a bit interesting at Apple. Apple's also blocked Project xCloud and Stadia for the same reason.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so now they're pissing off Microsoft and Google. Both Microsoft and Google had a phone product in the past. Microsoft's phone product is basically non-existent. I don't think they've had a release in a few years, and I'm not even sure they still support it. And all their phones are made by Nokia. Google came out with Android, quite a time. Was it 10 years? Something like that now.
The Google Android phone.
And anyone can make an Android phone and load the Android's operating system and store onto it.
Yeah. So
Which brings us to the other topic. Apple are now being sued by Epic for not allowing Epic to have their own custom store. Presumably for two reasons. One, that Apple insists on having a 30% cut of anything sold on an iPhone. So even Netflix, I believe, has increased their price on iPhone so that if you subscribe through the iPhone app, you're getting charged 30% more than you are if you subscribe on a PC or even on a Mac.
Oh, man. Apple is getting a lot of hits now. I mean, this is like a bad week for Apple.
Did I say, though, that Google is also being sued by by Epic?
Oh, yeah, I said that earlier on, but yeah. I heard about that too. I was like, what the hell is wrong with Epic? Man, they're going crazy.
Mm-hmm. Here we go. So the final release of Windows Phone was 5 years ago, which is increasingly worrying that we've only just phased out the last Windows phones at my company.
Oh, man.
Yep. Actually, my mistake. Windows Phone is the predecessor to Windows 10 Mobile. So I think maybe they stopped making Windows Phone as a product and we're going to call it Windows 10 Mobile. But I don't know if it ever released.
No, I won't.
Yeah. I've discontinued active development and end of life at the beginning of this year. But yeah, so everyone's rolling in on this right now. I'm not sure why exactly Fortnite are going after Google, because you can have a custom store on Android. It usually involves sideloading though, which is more difficult. So I suppose I suppose the issue there is that it's harder to get a custom store.
Do you want to know something funny? Fortnite, as a kind of a swipe to Apple, they made a trailer, which is basically parodying the 1984 Apple trailer.
Yes. That trailer gets parodied a lot.
Oh yeah.
It was the Apple trailer first. It was directed by Ridley Scott, you know.
Oh yeah. And
it was also the Half-Life 2 trailer.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, from what I recall, the Apple trailer had like actual skinheads.
Yeah, the people with shaved heads. I don't know that they're skinheads as in, gangsters or anything.
Oh, they are actual gangsters from what I heard.
Okay.
Second Apple 1984.
Yeah, so the trailer, if you haven't seen it, the basic concept is a bunch of people being herded into an arena to watch Big Brother talk, and someone runs in being chased by guards and throws a hammer at the TV.
There we go. So Ridley Scott later admitted that he accepted brutal budget constraints because he believed in the ad's concept, outlining how the total cost was less than $250,000, and that he used local skinheads to portray the broken pale drones in the commercial.
Yeah, so the tagline, Apple Computer will introduce Macintosh and you'll see why 1984 won't be like 1984. Which is ironic considering Apple is now the big brother of iOS.
Yeah.
And you don't do anything without their permission.
Just for full disclosure, have you seen the Fortnite trailer? With that one?
I haven't watched it yet.
I saw it. I just had a good laugh.
All right. If you got a link to it in the notes, I'm going to grab that.
Yep, it's in the notes, yeah.
Oh, 1980 Fortnite. That's a nice pun.
It's like, at the end of it, it's like, join the fight to stop 2020 from becoming 1984.
Why is he an apple?
I think they're just trying to mock Steve Jobs at Apple.
Oh, Apple. Wow. I'm dumb. Yes, this is a shot-for-shot remake of the
1984 ad.
Yeah, up until the end when they break the TV.
Yep.
But anyway, speaking of Apple deciding what people get to do, Epic is having their accounts terminated by Apple.
Oh, this is getting very ugly, isn't it?
Yes.
It's getting very ugly. I mean, if Google, I know is part of the lawsuit as well, but if Google does a hard step in doing something drastic, this would be very bad for Epic.
He pulls a MacBook, you pull a phone. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue.
But man, like this, do you reckon this is a kind of a big crisis in the gaming world?
It is going to have massive impacts on how the App Store runs. So Apple is blocking Epic from using the App Store. Epic can now, from the end of this month, cannot submit new updates to the Epic engine, the Unreal Engine, which means they can't keep running Fortnite on the Apple phones. The version of Fortnite that will run on the Apple phone, if you don't download it before the end of the month, I believe it'll be gone, because when you're if you don't pay the $99 yearly subscription, your account gets shut down and your apps are pulled from the store, because part of your subscription and part of Apple's 30% cut goes to the curation. And I'm pretty sure they take you out if you stop paying, which is something I've noticed with a lot of apps I used to use when I had an iPod Touch.
Here's my question though: why can't Epic Game Store do overall amendments like what if I recall Tumblr did when Tumblr got pulled off from the Apple Store?
I don't think I've heard of what Tumblr did. What's the deal there?
So from what I recall, Tumblr was put on the Apple Store. Then someone warned Apple, like, "Hey, Tumblr's got some very, very shoddy pictures.
To put illegal content."
Yeah, and Apple freaked
Wait,
out.
was it illegal content? Like they were worried about child pornography, right?
Yep.
Not just any pornography.
Yep, there was. That's what I meant to try and.
It wasn't until later that Tumblr decided no more porn.
Yeah, then they put interestingly, they put a message saying, "Oh, we've got this very new bot that will take out anything like extra not safe for work material and stuff." So with Tumblr, what happened was, ironically, Tumblr's announcement got flagged for pornographic material as well.
I'm not surprised because robot moderation is abysmal. It's really only now with machine learning that functional automatic moderation is feasible. So
So what happened? So that's what happened. So in order to get back into the App Store, they decided, okay, we're going to take all of this away. So, it was so funny to look at. So now Tumblr
made a lot of people very unhappy.
Oh yeah,
and was also the reason why their web traffic dropped massively.
And their net value as well. Like, was it? They used to be billions of dollars, and now they were bought by I think Wattpad for like $2 million. Or the 10 million. Yeah.
Yeah, it was something small. Here we go. Since they announced the ban, I know a lot of people started backing everything up. So they would have seen a bit of a bigger higher usage for that month. Then the next month, when the ban happened, it dropped way off. and with everyone gone, it's kind of embarrassing, really.
But yeah, we're kind of straying off the topic here. But but the point I'm trying to make is that why can't they do that? Like, I know, like, okay, from the short and the long term wise, it's going to affect the business, but there is like.
Hold on. So, what are you suggesting Epic does?
They could they could get rid of the V-Bucks situation, and then
they could get rid of their internal microtransactions that make them money on their free game that has made them billions of dollars.
They could. It could kill two birds with one stone. I mean, microtransaction has been the bane of gaming for.
They're not going to do that.
They're not.
No, there's money in that water, and they're not going to give it up. There's gold in them their hills.
Yeah, but
they are not going to take away their microtransactions.
I get the whole that there is gold in that hill, but here's the problem, though. By doing this right now, it's like they're killing the gold on that hill.
They don't care. They're taking them to court so they can force them to let them be on the store, which is the whole idea of this lawsuit. They don't want to not have that money. They'd rather risk not being able to have that money at all and have the risk of being able to have that money.
Yeah.
But, so at the end of this month, you won't be able to play Fortnite on an Apple phone unless you already had it downloaded. Now, while you're playing a shooter game on a phone, just but look, people are going to do it. So it's a product. People spend money on the product. It makes financial sense, but
Oh man! But how will this? Here's my other question: How will this affect the fan base?
They're gonna absolutely rage at Apple if this happens. That's the point of 1980 Fortnite.
Mm-hmm.
That's just to rile up their fans. Most of the time when there's a case like this, it all happens quietly in the background. But this is going to really rustle some jimmies and get the fans going.
Yeah, and it's interesting how it's big tech versus. It's two big techs versus one little tech. I'm
not I'm for Epic in this situation. I don't support other things Epic does, but I don't support Apple more than I don't support Epic.
Yeah, that's fair. And we are seeing Apple and it's also interesting how these three companies are famous for being predatory as well.
Yeah, that's the fight. They're all as bad as each other. Yeah. I think Apple, I think they don't want this to go to an antitrust case because they all have antitrust issues.
Yeah, I know we both are not lawyers or anything like that, but how do you see this play out? Like, you reckon Epic will come out top, or you reckon it's gonna
I think since the case is going on in the US at the moment, it's decently likely that Apple will win.
Yeah.
I think since if it happened in the EU, it would be more likely for Epic to win because the EU has better consumer protection laws. And I consider Apple's treatment of the App Store and the iOS and not giving you any way to sideload apps to be anti-competitive and a bit of a monopoly. They're monopolizing the market on their phones. You can't do anything on that phone without them taking a cut. And I think that's bad. If you even want to just release an app, a free app, you need to have a Mac, the $99 subscription for the developer license, and then whatever tools whatever phones you need to test with. In fact, there was a company that made iPhone emulators who are now being sued. The main idea is so that you can test the app without having to own every single iPhone.
Game development is going to be heavily affected by this, isn't it?
Yeah, games are supported by microtransactions these days. So any game that releases on iOS that after this case, assuming Apple wins this case, any game released on iOS is going to have a lower profit margin because of Apple's cut, and that there's no way to implement another payment system or market for getting your money without Apple's cut.
Oh man, I mean, I'm feeling sorry for the game developers being trapped in this situation. I wonder how much legal work are they going to get? This is going to add a lot of legal paperwork into this as well, isn't it?
I don't think so.
You know?
I think the end result for someone releasing an app is that there will be an extra box you have to tick on the submission form that says, I'm not trying to circumvent the App Store.
Yeah.
And they'll use that to reject you. But Apple are notorious for rejecting you for no good reason, lying to you about what reason you were rejected. It's not great. From what I've heard, it's not a great experience.
Yeah. How do you reckon Google will react to this?
Google are more likely to cave. And again, they're a big tech company that has a lot of anti-competitive and other practices that don't fly in a consumer protection mindset. So I hope that whatever happens here, the best thing for the consumer happens. And I don't just say that because I'm a consumer, but I am one. But I also don't want... I also like to consider myself ethical enough that if I was in their position, I wouldn't try to screw over consumers in any way.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's the free market that decides the whole process.
Well, that's the thing. What is the free market in the phone market? You have a choice of 2 operating systems. If you buy one particular phone, you have no choice in marketplace. You have no choice in making your own custom tools. So I prefer Android because I can get in there and I can enable things, disable things, or do whatever I need to get the experience I want.
Yeah.
It's the Apple model is, this is how you want it. And then you say, no, it's not really. And they say, shut up. Remember the antenna gate? You're holding the phone wrong.
And I remember, but it's funny that you mentioned with the Apple phones. Remember the good old dunking the phone in the water?
Yeah, what about that?
And how many people fell for that trick?
I'm not remembering.
So when the iPhone, I think it was a 4chan meme saying like, Apple.
The update makes your phone waterproof.
Yep.
If you just said that, I would have known what you were talking about.
Oh, right.
My favorite is still charge your phone in the microwave.
Oh, that was funny. Oh, man.
I should move it along, DJ. Stop me from yelling about Apple.
So, moving along to all things funny and enjoyable, we got some big news in the world of Doctor Who. Christopher Ecceslstone is coming back on a 12-episode series from Big Finish in 2021. This will be dubbed as the Ninth Doctor Adventures, and they'll be released on Collector's Edition, CD, digital download, or limited edition gatefold triple LP vinyl across 4 box set.
Big Finish on vinyl. I didn't know that was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not into vinyl, but that would be a cool collection to have.
Yep. So,
I want to do all of them because Big Finish has been around for a while.
oh yeah, they're big company.
Yeah, and the Doctor Who stuff is endless.
And then it'll be coming across in four box sets, starting with Volume 1 in May 2021, and they can be pre-ordered. So this is after a big fallout with the production company when Christopher left the Doctor Who after the first season of 2005.
Let's be honest, it was more than a big fallout.
Yeah.
He came out fairly recently about having anorexia during that time.
That was terrifying.
Yeah, and I understand no one who was part of the show when he was on is likely to still be there, but I can understand why he stayed away for so long.
Yeah. So here we go. This is what Christopher Eccelstone has said in response to this news. So after 15 years, it will be exciting to revisit the Ninth Doctor's world, bringing back to life a character I love playing. So the chairman of Big Finish said, I first talked to Christopher about returning to the role of Doctor at the Gallifrey 1 convention in February this year. Christopher said that he was enjoying meeting the fans and pleased with his Doctor was remembered so fondly. He indicated he would be open to discussing a project with Big Finish. So that sounds very good news. That's very good news.
Yeah, it's great that he's at the point now where he can look back and, bring himself back into it.
Yeah, but here's my question though to this: is this enough to fix the damage that has happened to Doctor Who recently?
No, because only the biggest fans know about Big Finish. And the other rule about Big Finish is that they can't use anything that belongs to the current Doctor. So Big Finish can't even do any stories about... actually, no, there must be... I must have my sources wrong. They must be able to do things about the current Doctor because they did... I think they did 12th Doctor stories, or am I thinking War Doctor? I don't know. Okay, well, I think the rule, I'd have to double check, is that they can't use anything from the current part of Doctor Who. So no 13th Doctor, no what's his name? No Indian Master. Sorry, I've forgotten his name completely.
Oh, you mean the woman master, Rani? No. The Rani?
No, that's completely different. I'm thinking of the current master, who is played by an Indian guy, which leads to the really awkward scene where the Doctor hands him over to the Nazis and disables his perception filter. So the Nazis pick him up and they're like, hey, what's this Indian spy doing here? And throw him in a concentration camp. Because the Nazis are not known for being great about their treatment of people who aren't white.
Oh, you mean, I know who you were talking about, Sasha the One.
That's it, Sasha. Yes.
I will say this, though, I don't know, after the Jodie Whittaker season, I was like, it was good. They brought in, a couple of new stuff into the Doctor Who story, but I just thought they've retroactively changed her story.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of people. I feel like I'm seeing more complaining now than I ever have. And people always complain about Doctor Who. It's the second biggest Doctor Who fan activity after watching the show.
Yeah.
And also arguing about why your Doctor is the best Doctor. But a lot of people aren't happy with Chris Chibnall. And a lot of it feels like wasted potential.
Oh, yeah. You know what's interesting? Another interesting question I would like to ask, though, is this a small step to something big for the Doctor Who franchise? Will we see Christopher Eccelstone in a 60th anniversary special?
I hope so. That's coming up. 3 years. BBC, don't cancel the show in the next 3 years, please.
I mean,
we've made it this far, BBC. Don't do it. Yes, they.
Everyone's hoping someone, maybe Christopher Tennant or Matt Smith or even David Tennant.
You said Christopher Tennant.
Oh, my bad. Yep. Christopher Eccelstone. They all left when. They all left they left Doctor Who fans with joy and wonder and stuff. Even Peter Capaldi made good. He was good.
Hey, don't diss Capaldi.
I said he was good. He was good. Not dissing Capaldi.
Don't even make it sound like you are.
It's just that the new
You said
Doctor.
even Peter Capaldi came good.
Yeah, he came good. He was good. He was good.
Are you implying he came good? He wasn't good at the beginning.
No.
You'd better not be.
But, okay, the point I'm trying to make is that
Yes, they wanted Eccleston for the 50th.
Yeah.
They couldn't get Eccleston for the 50th because he was still dealing with the,
anorexic stuff, yeah.
Yeah, well, even not that in particular, but just dealing with not wanting anything to do with it. Yeah. He enjoyed, I understand he enjoyed making the show, but when it came to dealing with the production outside the actual, outside of the actual episode and dealing with the production crew, he wasn't happy. So
an interesting thing that you mentioned about the 50th anniversary, here's an interesting fact. He even refused the final regeneration scene in that episode with John Hurt, though the BBC got away with using his eyes.
Yeah, they kind of face merge his face onto John Hurt in the regeneration and then cut away just before they'd have to make it too explicit.
Yeah.
Still had more of a face than Peter Capaldi did, though.
Yeah.
Peter Capaldi just had the attack eyebrows.
Oh, he was good. He was good, especially when that 50th anniversary scene, like all 13, and you get that eyebrows. It's like, oh, that's good. That's good. That was a good moment.
Yes. Watching it in cinemas was amazing.
Oh, man. I watched it. I watched it on the computer screen. I was like, damn it. I should have watched it on the movies.
Yeah. But yes, so they wanted him for the 50th. The original script had him in place of John Hurt. Mm-hmm. And they only brought in John Hurt because they couldn't get him. So they had to bodge together an extra doctor who fits in between 8 and 9 and calls himself the War Doctor because he can't reconcile being going around killing lots of Daleks as being the Doctor. And then at the end of the 50th special, John Hurt starts to regenerate and they give you just a flash of Christopher Ecceslstone. And that's as far as they got. So I'm hoping they can bring him in the 60th, if they do a 60th special, which I hope they do, because I'm probably not going to be alive for the 100th. I'm not sure any of us will be.
Only science can tell. Only science will tell. And interestingly, some lucky soul managed to do this. They managed to do the War Doctor regeneration complete with Christopher Ecceslstone.
Oh, yeah. Let's pull that up and see what the CGI is like. Yeah, not that John Hurt's a bad actor in any way.
He was awesome as the War Doctor.
Yeah, it's just not what anyone was expecting.
Yeah, John Hurt, God bless his soul.
Not bad. Not bad, yeah.
Yeah.
That's, I think, have they just reversed footage from Ecclestone's regeneration into 10? So,
yeah. Yep.
Yes, and even 2 years ago, so this link in the show notes, even 2 years ago, people were commenting, given Ecclestone has said he'll never touch Doctor Who again, and Hurt has died, we'll never get a real version of this. Mm-hmm. Well, we've got one thing coming, but... Yeah. Yeah,
and so also, interestingly, one of the other people has also said about the Christopher Ecclestone's introduction into Big Finish. He said, and then the pandemic happened and time moved on both quickly and very slowly. Over recent months, ideas have been exchanged and discussions had. I'm so pleased that Christopher had decided to return to the role with us. I'm excited to welcome him to the Big Finish family as we discover the new adventures of the Ninth Doctor. I just want to also, I think, did I say about the continuity, how this will affect it?
Well, Big Finish is basically non-canon. There's a sort of canon hierarchy. Anything in the show, then anything in Big Finish, or in the official novelizations. Really, I suppose so. Anything in the show, anything in the novelizations, anything in Big Finish, basically anything else. Big Finish has been doing stories like, they basically have a hat full of names and they pull them out and they're like, 7th Doctor, companions of the 1st Doctor. Let's go. They do anything really. So, like, keeping track of the canon in the main TV show is bad enough. You'd never keep up if you tried to canon Big Finish.
Yeah.
So they do series stories, but for the most part, it's non-canon.
True. That's true.
Yeah, actually, that's an interesting article you've sent me there.
Yeah.
That Big Finish have to get the script approved by the main writing team.
Oh, no, that means Chris Chibnall's... Oh, wait. No!
Don't worry. Don't panic.
Oh.
Don't panic, because the Big Finish stuff, they're allowed to do basically anything they want as long as BBC approves it. So you get all sorts of wild stories.
Speaking of wild stories, we've got a story about ocean world being found. Woohoo! And it's called Ceres.
Ceres.
Oh,
not Ceres.
Thank you.
What the hell is a Ceres?
Ceres. Ceres, sorry.
Are you just sitting there on your Ceres?
Yes, my Ceres. Yes, my Ceres is asleep.
Psoriasis something like that. It's a skin condition.
You mean eczema?
No.
Anyway, so
psoriasis.
Psoriasis. So Ceres has been found by a NASA spacecraft, Dawn, and it is it's the largest object in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, and the only dwarf planet inside the orbit of Neptune, and it is confirmed to be an ocean world.
I wonder if it's a liquid ocean world or if it's like water on the surface. No, it couldn't be. It would need an atmosphere for that. Or the water would just boil off into space. Maybe if it's a young enough planet, the water wouldn't boil off in time. But I think it probably has an outer layer of ice.
And good news is it's geologically active recently and maybe today. So they already knew that Ceres has been home to ice volcanoes or cryovolcanic activity, due in part to the presence of bright sodium carbonate salts on its surface. And now Dr. Raymond, one of the few scientists that's investigating this, is confident they've identified a deep brine reservoir that still exists beneath the Okata crater.
Oh, okay. So it is a underground reservoir.
Yeah. So it's another big idea to emerge from this data is that Ceres belong firmly in the realm of what we would call ocean world, says planetary research scientist Craig O'Neill of Macquarie University, who wasn't involved in the research. This doesn't mean that doesn't mean there's water sloshing around on the surface. But does it? Yep.
Yep. Here's the point I was making about it bubbling off. They reckon maybe 100 years on the high end.
Yeah, and I'll be putting down
on the surface.
Yep, and I'll be putting down the studies that they found on Ceres in a second. So they're saying Ceres is a completely different situation out in the asteroid belt and millions of miles from anywhere. It's not getting energy at all from a bit of radioactivity in its interior, although not enough to keep it hot for long periods of time. So they're saying that the interior of Ceres does contain liquid, really, really salty liquid or brine. Well,
that makes sense because salty water has a lower freezing point.
Yeah.
It's surrounded by the crust is clathrates, which are natural, basically a natural insulator.
Yeah.
And it's internal, which means that it keeps the water from boiling off into space. The cool part is, though, that it's had these are all the sort of precursors to developing life as we know it.
Yeah. The interesting part is, though, like, is evolution possible in that sort of area?
That's what I just said. It is.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
All of the assumptions on of the beginning of life is that it begins in water, and the water has to be warm enough to basically not freeze and kill the life. So, but having the asteroid, still be liquid means there could be water-dwelling extremophiles, really, living in the lake.
So does that mean we get to see the start of life all over again?
Possibly. I mean, it would be interesting to see their precursors to life. So a lot of studies have shown that you can generate the precursors to life, the basic amino acids, in a lab under certain conditions. And those conditions include stuff like an input of energy. So one experiment used electrical arcing, one might use radiation. On Earth, obviously, the energy input is from the sun. So we have a lot of photosynthesizing life. So anything you find on Ceres is probably going to be an extremophile that synthesizes either a chemical in the rock or radiation. So it would be really great to get there and find, even if not proteins or so amino acids make up proteins, make up DNA, make up life.
Yeah.
The amino acids can be created in the lab, but no lab has kept the experiment running long enough to create life, which A, because it only took a couple of billion years to get there, and B, we could create something absolutely horrifying that would end the world. Oh no.
Oh no, coronavirus 2.0. No.
Too soon, man. Too soon. No. Apart from horror movies, so the
although here's the thing though, can you imagine if it becomes like that movie Evolution?
Oh yes, the asteroid carrying the single-celled organism lands on Earth and it rapidly mutates into big effing monster.
And then go through the elementary table in the process.
Yeah, so for life to form on Ceres, there would have to be the inputs that would create the amino acids, which would then form into proteins and so on, until you get complex life. Single-celled organism, and then multicellular organisms are theorized to have begun as single-celled organisms that have formed a symbiotic relationship with another single-celled life form, and you build up from there. You're unlikely to find, ET there, but you could find probably single-celled life. And even finding the precursors to that is big.
The interesting part is this will also this could potentially answer that question. Is there life outside Earth? Like we always have that question: is there life Is there life on Mars, or is there life in space? Now, I think now we have some proof that there is.
Yeah, the evidence is just that it could exist. That the conditions that could lead to life aren't unique to Earth. The question is, does it exist? Has it happened? Where has it happened? Where can we find them? Do they taste delicious?
And will the penguins use this use their technology to raise an army of evil penguin clones?
Yeah.
Anyway, so it'll be interesting to see we could see another lander landing on Ceres, and let's see how that turns out.
Yes.
So
I would love to see something happen there, some sort of life. It's not likely, but I would love it.
So, Professor, what game have you been playing?
Death Stranding.
Oh.
But I haven't played it much because I've run into a couple of crash bugs. So this is going to sound worse than it actually is, but one of the weapons is made with your bodily secretions. And the game crashes every time I sit on the toilet. And then I decided, I'm not going to sit on the toilet. I'm just going to hold it in. So I walked around for a bit and the game crashed. And I decided to give it a break for a bit and see if a new patch would come out. So instead, I've been playing Fall Guys.
Oh, so you caught onto the Fall Guys bandwagon, hey?
There's no one who hasn't.
Me.
Look, I don't care what you do with your horrible, deviant life. Just don't do it near me.
Hey, I do our normal things like Work and play, work and play.
But that doesn't include playing Fall Guys. And for that, you should be...
Shunned? Yeah.
No, you should be put into a show that has Fall Guy, like the actual Fall Guys, the show, which is just, Wipeout and Takeshi's Castle and all of that. But with actual slime that kills you.
How is it like, though, with the Fall Guys game?
It's a lot of fun. So basically, it's a series of physics-based mini games leading to one player being dubbed the king, elimination-based rounds. So yeah, a lot like Takeshi's Castle or Wipeout. There's obstacle courses, soccer with giant balls. There are things being thrown at you that knock you off the level. And it's a lot of fun, and it doesn't have the same stress that a regular battle royale has, even though there's only one winner.
Does it come with loot boxes?
By a technicality, it slides into the battle royale genre.
Huh. Does it come with loot boxes as well, like every other battle royale?
No loot boxes. You earn currency through playing the game, and you use that currency to buy costumes in the store. And as far as I'm aware, every costume is available to free-to-play players. So you can buy microtransactions to speed things up. There is a time limit on some items that rotate through the store, but you can... I'm pretty sure you can get everything for free. What's
your favorite game in this Fall Guys game so far?
There's a lot of them that I really enjoy. I think of that, my least favorite is I don't remember the name of it, Fruit Match or something like that. So you're standing on a board or grid of squares. Each square is a different fruit, and you're told stand on the square that has this fruit. When the timer runs out, you find out what square you need to be on, but all the squares have gone blank.
Oh, you mean the Fruit Shoot?
No.
Okay.
Fruit Shoot isn't too bad. Fruit Shoot, they throw fruit at you while you try to walk up a hill.
Okay.
And it's giant fruit, and it knocks you over.
Okay.
But you don't often see anybody get taken out on the fruit match one. So I wouldn't mind seeing that taken out of the rotation, because if you're in that one, you're basically guaranteed to have an extra round because there's too many players to go through to the finale. And there are some latency issues, but it still feels pretty good. So actually, the level that I wish they would have is a cooperative obstacle course. So there's a couple of team-based games, and I hope that they figure out how to change it, because at the moment you end up with one team falling behind and then getting ganged up on by the other two teams because they're behind, and only the team in last place gets eliminated. So the goal is less win and more don't come last. So I hope they find a way to rebalance it so that, if you're in the losing team, it feels less crushing. But, game theory dictates that you play it that way. But what I'd like to see is a cooperative obstacle course.
Oh, nice.
There's competitive obstacle courses. And actually, there might be one sort of cooperative one where you're pushing a ball down a track and racing, but I've only done it once and don't really remember it. But I'd like to see one where you're split into teams and you have to run through, like, one player will hold a button while the others run through the door or something like that.
I mean, it'd be cool to see maybe like duos or probably trios. It'd be fun to see that sort of a style, like duo race kind of thing. Like how in birthday parties there's that 3-legged race.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That would. I don't know how that would work with latency, but that's an interesting idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe one where you have to work together to get past the obstacles, although there's no voice chat. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I guess in that case you'll always get stuck with an absolute moron who can't play the game. Yeah, but you can for the most part in most team games. There's enough players that one missing player doesn't make a huge difference.
Enough. So how much would you rate this game out of?
I'm really enjoying it, apart from the issues. So 4 out of 5. I'm absolutely going to keep playing it. I'll probably go and play it when we're done tonight. But it does have flaws that I think need to be addressed.
It was interesting though with when Fall Guys went on Twitter, it was insane. Everyone starts loving that game, like boom.
Yeah, it's a really simple idea implemented decently well.
Yeah,
and it's a lot of fun.
Yep.
So what have you been playing?
What have I been playing? I've been playing League of Legends. Yes, unfortunately, I've joined everybody into playing League of Legends. Why would you do
that to yourself?
I don't know.
Give us the elevator pitch. What is League of Legends? Assume that I've never played it.
League of Legends is a heroes-only game. Where you play it as one team of heroes versus another team of heroes, and you're trying to destroy their base.
Now describe it like I'm a velociraptor.
Now your herd has to try and get the other, try and kill the other herd that's protecting the meat that you want to eat. Well,
first, they're made out of meat. So I just eat them. But also, I'm a velociraptor. I don't speak English.
Dang! Stupid Jurassic Park movies thinking they can understand English.
Well, it's only the third one that would give you that any idea of that. And we know what people think about the third one.
An absolute trash fire?
Yeah.
Yep. But yeah, I've started playing it and I'm still learning how to play it, and it's interesting. It's not unlike Dota where it's just constantly constant button mashing and stuff. League, you just have to time your attacks much more carefully.
Okay. Yeah, it's a good concept, and I do enjoy that sort of style, but I don't play League often because I have no interest in playing with random people.
Yep.
And there's no way to solo.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's, I only play it once a year or something, if that. And there's too many characters for a super casual like me to learn. But I'm a super casual, so they're not marketing to me. I'm not spending money on the game, so...
Nah, I mean, I'm also super casual when it comes to like MOBAs games. But yeah, I wouldn't spend my money on this. Like, I would watch a game of League of Legends from a distance kind of thing, because they're professionals. And like, I was watching a friend of mine playing a bit of League of Legends. I was seeing like his health was like near death, and he's trying to escape the situation. I was going, go, get out of there, and then he escaped. Like, oh, thank God he did it.
So, are you playing with friends?
No, I'm just doing it by myself. But I do agree with you. The biggest flaw with games like this is the fact that you have to deal when you're playing with other people and you don't know how their levels are like and stuff. And sometimes they don't like to play in a team; they like to play in a solo.
Yeah, so it's MOBAs tend to attract a particular breed of toxicity.
Yeah.
I think because they rely on teamwork. You can't really solo a MOBA or like a lot of other multiplayer games. If one of your players is useless, you can carry the team, but it's harder to do that in a MOBA.
Yeah.
So what do you rate it?
I would rate this game 3.5 out of 5.
And we will take 500 points off for the community.
Yes. 500 points off for the community.
So 3.5. There we go.
Yep. So onto our onto our shout-outs. 10th of August 2020, CSIRO Parkes Radio Telescope, also known as the DISH, has been added to the National Heritage List. So the CSIRO Parkes Radio Telescope is being added to the National Heritage List in recognition of the role that it played in Australia's history. The 64-meter diameter telescope was regarded as an achievement of engineering and technical design when it was completed in 1961. It played a key role in receiving the television signal from the Apollo 11 mission to the moon in 1969 and sharing the moment with 600 million people around the world. The events were
my grandfather was one of the first people in Australia to see the photos from the moon. Yeah, he was a photographer at the Sydney Morning Herald, I think. And he was working the fax machine that day. They had a particular kind of fax that if you were receiving something, you needed to be there operating it. I don't know exactly what the machine was anymore, but he was on duty receiving the photos that day.
Does he still have those photos?
No, but you'd find them in the Sydney Morning Herald has a photo archive.
Oh, but if he has the actual copy, though, I mean, like that
would be great.
Yeah. I mean, flipping hell, that'd be awesome. Just imagine keeping that and just passing it to your children, your children's children and stuff, like a family heirloom. So the events were immortalized in the 2000 film The Dish, starring Sam Neill, and it was the top-grossing movie that year. Can you believe it's been 20 years that movie?
Well, I was just thinking, bloody hell, it's been 7 years since the Doctor Who 50th anniversary.
And now 20 years ago, wow, The Dish.
Yep.
And when did it come out? It came out in Australia 19th of October 2000. Wow. On the 10th of August 2020, the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico damaged by a broken cable. So one of the auxiliary cables that helped support the metal platform in place above the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico broke on Monday, causing a 100-foot-long gash on the telescope's reflector dish. Ugh. Operations at the UCF-managed observatory are stopped until repairs can be made. The facility has endured many hurricanes, tropical storms, and earthquakes since it was built 50 years ago. Repairs from Hurricane Maria in 2017 are ongoing. Though, through it all, the facility has continued to contribute to significant breakthroughs in space research in the area of gravitational waves, asteroid characterization, planetary exploration, and more. Just curiously, is this the same telescope observatory that was used in what was that movie? GoldenEye. Yeah.
Yes.
Is that
that's probably the most famous movie that has it. It's in a couple of others, but yeah. It's where Sean Bean dies again.
And again.
He died twice in that movie, so
on the 10th of August, Google Maps glitch sees Brisbane River renamed Ithaca Creek. So a young map lover tried to correct the name of a local creek, has instead triggered the renaming of the Brisbane River and many of its connecting waterways. 13-year-old Aidan Amir spends much of his time poring over maps and even had a Google Maps cake on his 8th birthday. The family lived by a creek that was listed as the Brisbane River, so naturally Aidan set about trying to get it corrected. Google responded and said, "Okay, we'll look into it," Mr. Amir said. ABC radio listeners said Toowong Creek and Kabbalah Creek were among the connecting waterways to get the rebrand in the glitch.
Yeah, someone screwed up on the back end there. It's the Google AI.
Yep.
Because I'm pretty sure nobody actually works at Google. It's all just an AI somewhere.
I'd hate to be the intern maintaining that AI. On the 10th of August 2020, Brandon Lee Brandon Lee's crow costume sells for $25,000 at auction. So a costume worn by the late Brandon Lee in The Crow sold at auction over the weekend. The distressed black shirt, leather pants, and trench coat from the 1994 cult classic was nabbed for $25,000, according to Kraus GWS Auctions. Lee wore the costume in multiple scenes, including the final shootouts in the movie, according to photos included with the lot. Brandon was once offered the chance to play his father in a biopic, but he turned it down. "I was a little scared by the whole thing, really," Lee explained in an interview. "It's strange to play your own father, you know? I couldn't really wrap my mind around it." Yeah, I don't blame him.
Yeah, that would be a bit weird.
Yeah. On to our remembrances. On the 11th of August, 1854, Macedonio Miloni, he's an Italian physicist notable for demonstrating the radiant heat has similar physical properties to those of light. Miloni's reputation as a physicist rests principally on his discoveries in radiant heat made with the aid of the thermomultiplier, a combination of thermopile and galvanometer. In 1831, soon after the discovery of thermoelectricity by Thomas Johann Seebeck, he and Leopoldo Nobili employed the instrument in experiments especially concerned with characteristics of, in modern language, black body radiation transmitted by various materials. He used an optical bench fitted with thermopiles, shields, and light and heat sources such as Locatelli's lamp and Leslie's cube in order to show that radiant heat can be reflected, refracted, and polarized in the same way as light. He also studied the magnetism of rocks, electrostatic induction, and photography. He died from cholera at the age of 56 in Portici. 11th of August 1990, Andrew Carnegie, Scottish-American industrialist and philanthropist. Carnegie led the expansion of the American steel industry in the late 19th century and became one of the richest Americans in history. He became a leading philanthropist in the United States and in the British Empire. During the last 18 years of his life, he gave away $350 million, which is conservatively $65 billion in 2019 dollars, based on percentage of GDP, to charities, foundations, and universities. Almost 90% of his fortune. Carnegie devoted the remainder of his life to large-scale philanthropy, with special emphasis on local libraries, world peace, education, and scientific research. With the fortune he made from business, he built Carnegie Hall in New York, and the Peace Palace, and founded the Carnegie Corporation of New York, Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, Carnegie Institution for Science, Carnegie Trust for the Universities of Scotland, Carnegie Hero Fund, Carnegie Mellon University, and the Carnegie Museums of Pittsburgh, among others. He died from bronchial pneumonia in Lenox, Massachusetts. After his death, his last $30 million was given to foundations, charities, and to pensioners.
He just wanted to have his name written on everything.
So much for graffiti tags.
Parry this, you casual.
11th of August, 1972, Max Thiele, South African-American virologist and physician. He was awarded the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine in 1951 for developing a vaccine against yellow fever in 1937, becoming the first African-born Nobel laureate. He spent several years investigating the amoebic dysentery and trying to develop a vaccine for rat bite fever. He, after becoming assistant to Andrew Sellers, he started working on yellow fever. In 1926, they disproved Hideo Noguchi's hypothesis that yellow fever was caused by bacterium Leptospira ichthyoides. In 1928, the year after the disease was identified conclusively as being caused by a virus. So he found the virus. So he made vaccines for it, and between 1940 and 1947, the Rockefeller Foundation produced more than 28 million doses of this vaccine, and finally ended yellow fever as a major disease. In 1937, Max found a filtrable agent that was a known cause for paralysis in mice as well. So this virus is referred to as Stylus murine encephalomyelitis virus. So the virus has been well characterized and now serves as a standard model for studying multiple sclerosis. He died from lung cancer at the age of 73 in New Haven, Connecticut. 11th of August 2014, Robin Williams, American actor and comedian. He is often regarded by critics as one of the best comedians of all time. He was known for his improvisation skills and the wide variety of memorable roles he created. He began performing stand-up comedy in San Francisco and Los Angeles during the mid-1970s and rose to fame for playing the alien Mork in the sitcom Mork and Mindy. After his first starring role in Popeye, Williams starred in several critically and commercially successful films, including Good Morning Vietnam, Dead Poets Society, Patch Adams, 1 Hour Photo. He also starred in box office hits such as Hook, Aladdin, Mrs. Doubtfire, Jumanji, Good Will Hunting, and Night at the Museum trilogy. He was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, winning Best Supporting Actor for Good Will Hunting. He also received 2 Primetime Emmy Awards, 6 Golden Globe Awards, 2 Screen Actors Guild Awards, and 5 Grammy Awards. He died from suicide at the age of 63 in Paradise Cay, California. His widow, Susan Schneider Williams, as well as medical experts and the autopsy, attributed his disease to a struggle against Lewy body disease. Yeah, that was a very tragic passing.
It was.
What was your favorite Robin Williams movie?
I don't know. There's a lot of them.
Oh, man. I still think Patch Adams would still be one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, I watched that once. My girlfriend was like, watch this, it's funny. And then I got to the ending. I wasn't ready for the ending. I mean, I've been watching Mork and Mindy with my girlfriend for the last few years.
Oh, yeah?
It still holds up quite well.
What was the I do remember he had a cameo appearance in Friends with Billy Crystal.
He had a lot of minor appearances before he was in Mork. As I understand it, like the character Mork was like an episode in Happy Days.
Yeah.
So
I've vaguely seen that one. Yeah.
He was in Happy Days. And then they liked him so much, they were like, all right, do more.
That was fun.
Yeah, and the story goes that when they wrote the script for Mork and Mindy, they would basically just have, like, for Mork's part, they would have Robin does something.
So moving along. So Yisrael Cristal was the next one. What date was his? Sorry. Here we are. On the 11th of August, 2017, Yisrael Cristal was the oldest living Holocaust survivor. At one point, he was the world's oldest man and one of the 10 oldest men ever at his death at 113 years and 330 days. He worked as a confectioner and celebrated his bar mitzvah to make up for being unable to hold his original ceremony at the age of 113. He died on the 11th of August 2017 in Haifa. And
I love that he got to 113 and was like, screw it, I'm a teenager again.
Yeah, and his status was verified after documents confirming his age were uncovered in Poland. Wow, that must have been a lot of digging. So on to our birthday. So on the 11th of August, 1858, Christian Eichmann was born. He was a Dutch physician and professor of physiology who discovered that beriberi was caused by thiamine deficiency. And with Sir Frederick Hopkins, he received the Nobel Prize for physiology or medicine for discovering vitamins, calling them vital amines.
Yeah, calling them a vital amine is a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah, thank God for vitamins. Thank God. It wasn't until Casimir Funk renamed them vitamins. Eichmann was born in Nijkerk, on the same day in 1897, Enid Blyton was born. Enid Mary Blyton's children's books have sold more than 600 million copies, including Noddy, Famous Five, Secret Seven, and The Classic Adventures of the Wishing Chair and the Faraway Tree series. She was criticized in her life for her writing lacking literary merit, and some of her stories have been criticized for racist themes, including characters such as gollywogs who resemble racist stereotypes.
Yeah, looking back on it, a lot of stuff there wouldn't fly these days.
Oh man,
I used to be really into Enid Blyton books.
They were good to read, but then then later on, you just went like, God, what was I reading?
They're good stories, but when you get a bit older and you learn the context of things like gollywogs, it's a bit.
Yeah, it's later on. She felt she had a responsibility to provide her readers with a strong moral framework, so she encouraged them to support worthy causes. In particular, through the clubs she set up or supported, she encouraged and organized them to raise funds for animal and pediatric charities. And there have also been several adaptations of her books for stage, screen, and television. She was born in East Dulwich, London. On the 11th of August, 1950, Steve Wozniak was born. He was one of the founding Steves of Apple along with Steve Jobs. Which was his nickname, was the main designer of the electrical systems of Apple computers, while Steve Jobs oversaw the case design. And Rod Holt designed the switching power supply. He was born in San Jose, California. He's
still the best, Steve. Fight me.
Okay, just curiously, have you ever seen the Steve Jobs movie, the one with Michael Fassbender in it?
I haven't. Is it good?
It's good, and Seth Rogen plays Steve Wozniak to a T. Like,
okay.
And apparently, like in the movie, they actually hate each other. Like, Steve, like there was a portrayal of Steve Wozniak saying to Steve Jobs, like, acknowledge the people who made the first Apple possible. And Steve's like, nah, screw you.
That does sound like Steve. Like, you could say Steve kicked orphans and I'd believe it. I mean, Steve Jobs, to be clear. I've heard a lot of bad things about Jobs. Because Jobs was, an arsehole. And sure, he was one of the founders of Apple, which is now like the biggest company on earth or something like that. No, must not be. It's the first company to reach $1 trillion on the US stock market.
Oh, yeah.
But so, it's now an absolutely massive company, but Jobs was horrible to people.
Oh, yeah.
And was at least, maybe he's also horrible to people, but since he doesn't try to play himself off as being such an amazing person, no one notices. But considering he's done a lot of philanthropy, I'm inclined to think he was nicer. Have you
heard about what Woz is doing now? Apparently, he's trying to sue Google as well.
Really? What's he suing Google for?
He's suing Google for the false advertisement in relation with what happened on Twitter with the recent Twitter hack.
Okay. What did Google advertise? I don't
I think it was it was the YouTube Bitcoin scam.
So he's suing them about a hack someone did on Twitter.
Yeah, so
about a scam on YouTube.
So the story goes, Steve Wozniak, he's filed a lawsuit against Google over a YouTube scam that allegedly used his name and likeness to convince viewers to send cryptocurrency during a fake Bitcoin giveaway event.
Oh, okay, yeah. Because they hacked a lot of celebrities and were like, I'm going to double your Bitcoin, send me your Bitcoin. And just like any Ponzi scheme, that never happened.
Yeah.
Luckily, they didn't get away with much.
Oh, come on, 117,000. That's a lot of money.
In terms of major scams, it's really not.
Yeah, that's true. Anyway, so onto our events. So on the 11th of August, 1934, the first federal prisoners arrive on Alcatraz. Alcatraz, formerly a military prison, became a high-security civilian penitentiary with early residents including Al Capone and Machine Gun Kelly. There were no known successful escapees. However, there is a debate in particular about whether a team or team of three might have escaped using rafts made from raincoats. In 1972, Alcatraz opened to the public with more than 1 million annual visitors.
You reckon they made it? The escapees?
I doubt it. Like with shark-infested waters.
I give them pretty good odds, actually, because Mythbusters tested it. It's definitely possible because the Mythbusters successfully escaped on a raft made of raincoats. And there's a lot of other little coincidental things that add up. That there's not a lot of solid evidence, but there's a lot of little details, and it's one of those stories that I want to be true.
Yeah, you have to, like, here's the thing: you have to be like very accurate, very very accurate to predict the weather and stuff.
Yeah, you'd want to make sure you pick the right time and weren't going against the tide, which I think they did talk about on Mythbusters.
Yeah. So
I'm impressed with the quality of their escape plan, though. Making fake bodies to hide in the bed with heads modeled after themselves, finding a way out, building a raft out of raincoats.
Oh, that would be. Can you imagine trying to get out of trying to get out of Alcatraz now? It'd be virtually impossible with all the high-tech weapons and drones and whatnot.
Well, it'll be a lot easier because no one's actually guarding Alcatraz.
I know,
The tricky part is just crossing the bay because San Francisco is pretty rough.
Yeah, but let's say, for example, they revamp Alcatraz again into this big jail again. Like, let's say they do that. Like, can you imagine with all the drones and with all the high-tech sniper rifles and whatnot? Can you imagine that happening?
Yeah.
It wouldn't be possible.
No, it would be much more difficult.
Yep. So on the same day in 1942, actress Hedy Lamarr and composer George Antheil received a patent for a frequency-hopping spectrum communication system. This technology is the basis for wireless telephone and Wi-Fi, along with many wireless transmission standards. However, at the time, the US Navy wasn't interested in inventions from outside the military. The invention was classified as red hot. Bet the military would have been kicking by then.
Yeah, so they didn't want anyone else to use it, so they classified it, but they weren't going to use it themselves because a civvy made it.
23 years later, and Vostok 3 launched from Baikonur Cosmodrome. Cosmonaut Adrian Nicolay unstrapped himself from the seat and became the first person to free float in microgravity. The next day, Vostok 4 launched carrying cosmonaut Popovich. The two missions flew in formation and were the first spacecraft to use radio to communicate with each other. The US believed that the USSR had an orbit maneuvering. This was false, but of course the Soviets were happy to let them think that. Actually, the Vostok missions were launched with high precision to bring them together at the right time.
Sneaky Russians.
They colluded!
Like they didn't collide, they came within a couple of kilometers.
Finally, luckily, on the 11th of August 1984, Ronald Reagan didn't start a war with a joke. While doing with a mic check before a radio address, Reagan said, "My fellow Americans, I'm pleased to tell you today that I've signed legislation that will outlaw Russia forever. We begin bombing in 5 minutes." Fortunately, this didn't. Dr. Strange loved the whole world. I think this was Ronald Reagan's version of trolling on Twitter.
Yeah, kinda. I mean, if Trump tweeted, "We bomb Russia," which he wouldn't, he'd tweet, "We bomb China." But if Trump tweeted that, you'd listen, right?
I think the whole world would listen and just go mad.
Yeah, everyone would go nuts because it is nuts.
Remember the time when Trump said like he would bomb North Korea like with fire and fury?
Is there anyone he hasn't said he would bomb?
Nah, I don't think he's California.
Okay, though he has pulled out. Was it the fires? He pulled out aid for California because he was like, "They're not my voters."
Anything else before we wrap up?
No. Where can they find us, DJ?
They can find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, thatsnotcanon.com, where we're an archive of our old episodes and merchandise. They can also find us on Pod Hero, where, Professor, you know what Pod Hero is.
Yes, support us for $5 a month. Listen to podcasts on Pod Hero, and your $5 a month subscription gets split between the hosts of each podcast that you listen to. So if you listen to more of our episodes than another person, then we get them. It's proportional to the amount of each podcast that you listen to. And Pod Hero don't take a cut unless you choose to take the $6 a month support Pod Hero as well subscription.
Yeah, awesome. And check out my other podcasts on the thatsnotcanon.com. What's the newest one that come out the other day? Pop DNA. Check out Pop DNA. They have some cool stories in relation with pop culture, and they see the traces of literary and historical influences of your favorite works of pop culture. Anyways, that's all we have for this week. Take care of yourselves, stay hydrated, and hooroo!
We'll see you next week.